My next guest has earned an international reputation for his culturally sensitive and sustainable building designs. After graduating from the UBC School of Architecture, he has gone on to design some of Canada's most innovative Aboriginal landmarks. Alfred Waugh, welcome to the New Canoe.
Thank you,
Good to
Art.
have
It's
you.
good to be here.
What made a northern guy decide to become an architect?
It was a serendipitous journey, I have to tell you. I think as many people from small towns, it shaped my identity. It's beautiful up there. We spend a lot of time on the lakes, but I wanted to get away. I wanted to, I guess I had a taste when I was young, traveling down south. So I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was told by my family to become an engineer. I was kind of scared coming from a small community, so I went to University of Lethbridge, which had about a population of 3,000, 4,000 people. Because it's an arts-based university, no matter what you take, you had to take a lot of courses. And I took a few courses. One course was a planning course, and then I went overboard in a couple exercises. I designed the building and drew it, and he says, well, it's just a programming exercise. The professor was saying, and he says, you ever thought about architecture? And I started thinking about it, and he says, I was always, concerned about the environments, how we grew up, because in the north, buildings they seem like such objects in the landscape because it's such a rugged environment. So I always thinking about how could you make those buildings respond to the environment a little bit more sensitively than they, just these boxes. And so I think that was made a decision for me to go into that.
Now, your work has been described as building on traditional Aboriginal structures. Can you expand on this?
Living in the West Coast, much of our clientele are coastal Salish people or interior Salish, and we look at the longhouse, which is a post and beam structure itself, and then we look at, okay, if we're designing a university building, how do we take some of those principles of the post and beam structure, the space, the proportion, the communal feel of a longhouse and how it extends, and how do we maintain that idea within a modern building? So these are the things that are fascinating me, as well as trying to integrate sustainable ideas with First Nations culture.
I understand some of your buildings are also described as sustainable, drawing on local environments. How do you accomplish this, especially accomplish this while making sure building codes are adhered to?
Well, sustainable nowadays is such a catchphrase, but in some sense, First Nations people have always been one with the land. There was no boundary between the two. We draw upon a traditional idea, the basic principles that are inherent in a structure used in the past, and try to transform that into a modern building. Not literally, but within the fabric of the building, so the building becomes an organism. Say like a teepee, which is a natural ventilation chimney. We often incorporate that idea within the building, where you create an atrium and then the air gets dumped into the atrium and either gets recirculated and mixed with air, brought back into the spaces, or else flushed out of the building, much like the smoke rises within the teepee. So when the air rises up, it heats up. There are sensors on the outside for weather and rain and temperature, and it opens up and works like a natural ventilation teepee. So we try to root concepts with the identity of the First Peoples, and draw upon first identity and then sustainable ideas and try to merge them together.
It's at UVic. What was that one called?
The First People's House.
First People's House, that's currently under construction.
Yes.
It's also going to be set up like the Coast Salish style big house.
It's a modest-sized building. Again, it's about 12,000 square feet, and the ceremonial room is about 2,000 square feet. And we're actually, the program called for a fire pit, like an open fire pit.
Which I saw in the artist concept.
Yeah, but with building codes, you can't really have an open fire within a building. And then the challenge was how do you create this symbolic reference, and this reference that can be used for ceremonies, which makes the longhouse without putting a big hood over it and having like that type of fireplace. So we located a fireplace that's mounted in the ground It's pyramid shaped, but all the exhaust and supply are below the ground, so it's a freestanding element that could be in the middle of the room.
So it's natural gas burning?
It's natural gas. It could be wood, but the university's preference for safety is to stay with the natural gas.
So we'll still have the feel of
You'll still have the feel, yes.
the big house. Well, good luck. Thanks for the innovations. It's very inspiring, and I hope it inspires a whole round of new architects to follow those philosophies of integrating holistic approaches into their designs. Thanks for being on the New Canoe.
Thanks for having me, Art. It's good to be here.